And hi, everyone, it's Tim Razor, Don Vanderboort, Danny Stewart, Hunter Mazingo. Did I get that right?
Good.
I feel like I got that right. Welcome to another edition of Your Money Radio. Really jam-packed edition of Your Money Radio today. So I kind of want to get right into it because I've got a lot of things to talk about. As I don't particularly like how the market's wearing me out, and I'm bringing it up first, Don, because the old adage that O'Neill would say is, once the market wears you out, throws you out, and you leave the market, then it's about to break up. You know what I mean? So when I'm reaching that mental state, which I am in, I'm a stock nerd, just like the thousands of people that listen to our show. Yeah, I get worn out by the chop, and we've got a lot of chop in the market, but I've got some things that I like market-wise. I want to talk about the dollar and its effect on some stocks that I may not like in the future. Hunter's got two. Go ahead, sorry. I'm sorry.
Wear you out or scare you out. The market is always working on one of those two things.
Yeah, and so it can be mentally taxing if you allow it to be. And then Hunter's got two brand new segments. But Don, I made a song discovery this week, and I know you hate when I do the nonsense, but I'm going to force the nonsense down your throat because I made a song discovery this week.
I'm a little scared.
No, don't be scared. I can't believe I'm going to go Electric Light Orchestra with you.
You already got one foot in the grave with that one.
What the hell, man? This Kiss wrote 3 lyrics and 20 songs off of them.
It's not heavy metal enough.
So horse cock owl. Listen, this song is amazing. Can you see my screen, Mr. Blue Sky? Literally found this song this
good
week.
For a stock. Great for a stock. Not sure if it's a great song, but it's great for a stock.
I'm going to go best song ever written. And I love Queen. You know I love Queen.
I don't know.
Best song ever written. Best song ever written.
Ever written.
Best song ever written.
I'm totally going best song ever written.
I'm sure you'll get lots of support in that one.
What song? What do you think the best song
I don't think you can play it
and
we can hear it. I don't think it works.
No, because I've got my earphones in. That's the problem. Like I've got my earphones in, and it'll go through my earphones. It won't go through the microphone that's attached to the computer. If I took my earphones off, hold on, Don.
Don't do it on your phone. It's going to sound.
No. Luckily, Danny, I literally just have it right up on my phone. It's brilliant, right?
Lucky us.
Yeah.
Yeah, lucky you guys, right? Can you hear that?
No, that sounds terrible. I can't hear anything.
Not really.
Okay. Then screw you guys.
So disappointing.
Best song ever written.
The best song ever written, Don.
Hotel California.
That is not true.
That's a good choice.
Hunter, no.
And y'all are out of my time frame here a little bit, but I like Hotel California.
The guitar solo in that is one of the best too.
Yep.
The live version. I like the live version of Hotel California. I like that album, the 1980 live version of the Eagles. I don't like the studio version. I don't like the studio version of a lot of things. I like the live version. Okay, I've got one more for you, Don. And I found this. I didn't realize this song, so I found it through the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. Hunter, now I'm talking
Great
to you,
soundtrack.
right? Yeah, there we go.
Great
yeah,
soundtrack.
Volume 1.
Yeah. Great movie
Volume
too.
1 and 2. Yeah, and so by the way, 2021 is going to have Volume 3. They're going to release Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I think, next year.
Mark Meadows says we hope to get a COVID-19 deal in a day or so. This was right after Mnuchin 2 hours ago said we're significantly far apart.
This market sucks.
It is 1:22 p.m. Eastern time on Friday.
What do you think? Then there'll be a statement. They're gonna take the gurney that they wheel Kudlow out on, and he'll say something.
A more appropriate song by ELO might be "Don't Bring Me Down."
Well, that's what you did, Don, when you didn't like Mr. Blue Sky, but screw you, man. So I've got another one for you. Look at this. Look at these outfits.
Looking good.
Man, that's Elvin Bishop. No idea, but this dude is wearing a badge. You got a sheriff playing guitar, and you got a cowboy, and I'm not 100% sure if he's wearing a shirt or not. But that's from that TV show Midnight Special. What a great freaking video. The whole thing's amazing. But fooled around and fell in love. Never knew the song existed until Guardians of the Galaxy. And I'm like, man, I really like that song.
Did that guy on the right just come from his mechanic's job and go right onto the stage?
Bishop. That's the dude. That's the lead singer.
Okay. What's
Yeah,
lead singer on the
group? What was YMCA? What was that group? They were all different characters.
the Village People?
It reminds me of the Village People because you got all these different walks of life, man. You got a mechanic, a girl,
Danny,
and a cocktail
Danny, let me
dress,
just stop.
cowboy.
Danny, let me just stop you right now and beg you to tread lightly here.
Danny, there were no girl. Did you just say there was a girl in Village People, Dan?
I said in this picture here.
Okay, all
There's
right.
a guy in his mechanic outfit, a girl in a cocktail dress, a cowboy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yes, that guy
Danny's
is
like,
like,
I don't think there was a girl in the Village People. No girl in the Village. Just rolling through that Rolodex of pop culture in your mind, right?
I just meant they have an occupation lineup right there. They have different. It's all different.
Have you ever described a band's lineup, a band's members, the members of a band as an occupation
It's a
lineup?
theme, man. It's a theme.
That's a new term for me. Yeah.
I don't want to do stocks anymore. I just want to do pop culture with Danny and see what else he's going to.
There you go.
That is awful.
Well,
Hey,
if we did pop culture with Danny, we'd get rid of All-Star Wrestling, so you guys wouldn't be happy.
Dude,
Hunter, you know that Don and Tim are All-Star Wrestling groupies, right?
I did not know
80s.
that.
I'm 80s.
Hunter gets to see Ric Flair twice a week when he comes.
I was gonna say, Don's even got a character,
hang out.
an All-Star Wrestling doll.
Hunter, did you know who this was when you saw him on the desk?
Yes, I did. I'm very familiar with Ric Flair from the documentary, and you guys, you're into rock. I actually pretty much only listen to hip hop and rap. But 21 Savage has a song named Ric Flair. So I am familiar with Ric Flair.
Danny.
Was Macho Man Randy Savage part of the inspiration for 21 Savage?
I don't think so. I think it's more of a savage in the streets type of nature there.
Oh yeah, let me tell you again.
God,
I like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I just want to apologize to the stock nerds in advance.
Danny, you're the minority here. The stock nerds love this. They're one of us. You're the only one. You're like, can we talk about Yvonne Lendl, please?
So I introduced Ric Flair to my 4-year-old granddaughter 3 weeks ago, the Nature Boy, and so she came back a week later, and I said, "What does Nature Boy Ric Flair say?" And she said, "Yoo-hoo!" I said, "No, it's woo." So then last weekend it was, "What does Nature Boy Ric Flair say?" And she said, "Woo-hoo!" So she's getting closer. It's just woo, and I think she's going to nail it this weekend.
Well, you gotta play it for her every time. You gotta play her a clip. And so, Hunter, you watched the Eagles game last night?
I did. I actually, the Eagles were the first leg of a parlay for me, so I was really sad, and then I was happy.
No, I want to talk about this because there's a parlay out there. If anyone follows Darren Ravel, where it was $100, Danny. Danny, I'm trying to include you because a parlay is a betting term, Daniel. And
Yes, I know that, Tim. Thank you.
Who are you betting with? Hunter, Penn, DFN? Who are you betting with?
It's a website called Bovada. I think it's actually a Chinese website, but they've got like everything you could ever want to bet on is on there. But it's just pretty simple.
Eagles win. Boston Scott gets a touchdown. Carson Wentz throws for 247.5 yards or more. And Shepard from the Giants, I believe his name's Shepard, gets a touchdown. And there was like one other part to the parlay. $100, and this guy cleared 46K last night.
Nice.
So that's why people like betting right there. When you said parlay, I'm like, tell me about it, Hunter. What's your parlay, man?
Okay, so this is how we just bet on teams to win. I bet on unders and overs and all that stuff, but I don't like it as much.
Okay.
Let's see here. I know Eagles. Let's see. I'm pulling it up here.
I think I just effectively.
All right, here it is.
Gotcha.
Eagles, Bills, Chiefs, Packers, Saints, Chargers, Browns, and the Cardinals are the surprise pick. I think the Cardinals knock off the Seahawks this week at home. Okay. That's my parlay.
What's your risk and what's your reward?
I think a $10 bet pays out around 150, something like that. So that's usually what I do on a weekly basis. I'll do like one $10 bet that I feel good about, and then I'll do I like Pittsburgh to potentially upset Notre Dame. I like Florida State to beat Louisville. I like Minnesota to beat Michigan. So I'll do like $1 or $2 on some risky ones that'll pay out. Like a $1 bet might pay out $300 or $400. And so anyway, it just gives you a little bit of extra incentive to want certain teams to win.
Now
It's
I know
the
why you
first
like
time the
options.
phrase "I'd like Florida State to beat" has been uttered this year
Hey,
by anybody
it's the
in the entire
resurgence
country.
year.
Didn't
Is
they
it?
Beat the
beat
crap out of North
last
Carolina.
year? They beat North Carolina. They beat Mac Brown. Mac Brown can't beat. Why do I know that? I don't know.
North Carolina was number 5 and went into Florida State and really got stomped. They came back and then they ended up losing. But
Hunter, I am so glad you brought this up because I'm just gonna do it all at the top of the show. I helped you with your money line bet. So with your Eagles bet last night, just to win. I cornered the entire market on Carson Wentz cards over the last 3 weeks. Let me show you that. Like like the Hunt brothers did with silver. So like I've got all of these, like Carson Wentz. Just, I mean, I've got too many Carson Wentz cards, right? But Hunter, I went one step further. I brought back Ron Jaworski.
Jaws.
Like I went Polish
Wow.
rifle just to help the Eagles cause. Didn't even watch the game last night. The Eagles game was so frustrating last week on Sunday. I took my daughter candle shopping, not making that up. And I thought that's the trick because they came back in the second half. We went to Yankee Candle, and our good friend Mark from Buffalo, a huge Bill fan, by the way, says, "Where are you at? Are you watching the game? This is an amazing comeback." I said, "No, I'm candle shopping with my daughter." And I said, that seems to be the trick. You got to go candle shopping to get close in football. And so then Mark lit a candle for the Bills game against the 49ers. This was that Monday? Was that Monday Night Football? The early game on Monday Night Football? And they got close. They didn't win. So now I predict a Bills win this week because Mark from Buffalo lit a candle, a Yankee candle, no doubt, in honor of my tradition now of lighting Yankee candles when the Eagles play because they'll get close, if not win. Eagles win, Bills. Are you following the logic here, Hunter?
Of course.
So then, yeah, good. Keep up.
You know the Hunt brothers almost went bankrupt trying to corner the silver market.
Danny, don't ruin the story, okay? I'm just cornering the market on Bill's stuff. I mean, on Carson Wentz stuff. So then, Don, I got this when I was on the eBay. I'm like, who the hell is that? Don, do you know who this is?
No.
John Madden.
Lyle freaking Alzado.
Wow. Before he went nuts, apparently.
This is rookie year.
Wow.
Crazy, right? Hunter, I went one step further to ensure an Eagles victory this year. I'm opening up the package. I'm pretty sure I know what's in here. It just came in the mail, I think yesterday, maybe the day prior. If I can open it, you're going to see just how far I went to make sure that the Eagles win. I got a doctor. I went Julius Irving. I'm like, we need a winning role model. So
is that Sixers or Nets?
Sixers. You know what? I don't know what the hell this is. I think I just got, Julius Irving's on here. That's from 1980. I've got something in here. I think that's Nets. Dr. J. Hold on. Oh, this might, I don't know if this is it. Danny, I've effectively killed the show. You got a dog barking back there?
Yeah, I know. I was about to text my daughter to get the dog to be quiet.
It's okay, man. We're all human. The market's not, I'm just waiting for Mark Meadows to say something else. Oh, Artist Gilmore autograph. I went ABA on you there.
Ooh.
7'1" from Jacksonville University.
A-Trade. Isn't that Artist
Really?
Gilmore?
I didn't know that.
A-Trade?
Yeah.
He plays for the
Was he
Spurs
7'1"?
with George Gervin, the Iceman.
He led JU to the NCAA finals against UCLA.
No, I guess my ABA Dr. J hasn't arrived yet. And then here's the other Carson Wentz. Yeah, I thought I ordered, you know what? I've got a ton of stuff here.
Carson Wentz has two mustaches. He has a left mustache and a right mustache.
Say what?
Pretty unique talent. You might want to get a Travis Fulgham rookie card. He seems to be Wentz's favorite guy.
He's the new Mike Quick. If anyone gets that reference, Travis Fulgham is the new Mike Quick.
I thought he was the new Vince Papale.
Love Vince Papale. You know, I wrote Vince Papale was going to come out to the squadron when I was in the Marine Corps and talk to the Marines, but we left for Iraq too soon. Vince Papale, like, he's a real dude. Like, he's a really nice dude. Who is this? Hold on. This might be it, Don. Oh, Don. I won't take him out and waste any more time. 1974, 1975 San Diego Conquistadors.
The Qs.
The Fighting Qs. I didn't even know the conquistadors were.
Is that a Wilt Chamberlain San Diego Q's card?
Dude, yeah. How did you know? Like, that's exactly why I ordered
Because
it.
I had one when I was younger.
Yeah, so they're on eBay pretty cheap. Let me see. I'll show it to you. Boy, it better be in here. Oh, here
I
he
didn't
is.
even know Wilt played for the Q's. That must have been one of his last years. Yeah,
Can you see it?
the Q's.
Wilt
San
was
Diego
still.
Conquistadors, right? Yeah, I had something happened last week. I spent a lot of time on eBay when I couldn't sleep. Woke up, I kept waking up in the middle of the night. And I'm like, you know what? We should probably do some ABA cards while I'm watching for the European markets to open. Speaking of which, man, did the markets take a massive dive when the European markets, about a half hour before they were going to open overnight. Does anyone know what happened in Europe? I gave up. I didn't have my glasses on. I couldn't see anything. I'm like, you know what? I'm not wasting my time with European markets. I'd ask you, Danny, but you were actually up, Daniel. I know you were up.
I was driving home, man. I was late night.
Danny was not out at the bar. So
What do you listen to in the car on your long drives, Dan?
let's
Actually,
get
Don,
don't tell us. Let's all guess. Don, give me. I got Conway Twitty.
I'm thinking he's got XM satellite radio and he had conservative talk radio on, or
That's not
black
true.
black helicopter.
Danny won't pay for XM.
there you go. Tim's right on that.
I know, Danny. Danny
Dan,
won't pay
that's a
for
business
XM.
deduction. You can get CNBC on that.
Yeah, whatever. I watch enough financial BS. That's okay. Like you guys always say, first price, then news. I realize the financial media is not nearly as important as they think they are.
I didn't say you had to listen to that channel. I just said it's a tax deduction.
Yeah, no, I've got enough. So, Hunter, what do you think I was listening to? And I'll give you a hint. It wasn't rap.
Well, I surmised that.
Now that we found
And
love
really,
by
I
Heavy
don't
D and the
know.
boys.
I don't know if I have enough information to really make an educated guess.
Oh my God, Hunter!
What
Take a
kind
stand.
of
There's no
but I'm
defense.
gonna go.
is that? Come on, take a
Wise
stand,
beyond
Hunter.
I'm
wise
gonna
beyond
go-
his 25 years.
Yeah, take a stand, Hunter. Take a stand.
This is and it's kind of, out of left field. I'm gonna say Hank Sr.
1 second. I'm changing it. I got
My
Slim
wife wasn't in
Whitman.
the car.
Slim Whitman, Danny. It's not even Conway Twitty. It's Slim Whitman.
Don?
I'll go Hank Jr.
Hey, Tim, by the way, where you live in Rockwall, they've got a radio station called The Possum.
I'm familiar with the Possum.
I swear. And it's a
We have the
dedicated-
Possum in Alabama.
It's a dedicated radio show to the late, great George Jones.
Yes, it is. Oh, you listen to George Jones?
Yeah, once in a while. You know what I was listening to? I really like classic rock, but I was up in Tulsa with one of my best friends, back in the tennis days. But anyway, they have a radio station up there called. They had it two names for it because every time they come back from break, they'd have another name. But the main name is the Tribe. It's called the Tribe, and then they called it the Road something. But anyway, it's awesome classic rock. And it's
Were
a
you
good
switching
signal.
stations by chance, and that was the confusion?
They kept every time they'd come back from break, it'd either be the Tribe or the Road or something. It's a little confusing, but anyway, it was.
So
a
what were you
great
listening?
station.
So what were you listening to?
Rock. They had all kinds of rock. It was really
on the
good.
drive back.
Well, once you leave Dallas, you have some really good stations all the way up to about halfway up into Oklahoma, but then you hit an area where reception you're pretty much out in the boonies.
But you have to listen to commercials when you listen to actual radio. That I would have a playlist queued up and would just have to put it on and go.
I had some. I've got my car. I'm about to trade in my car because it's got about 180,000 miles. I love it.
Are you going to take the
Steelers-
Longhorns off the front before you trade it, or does that add to the value?
Hey, I'm an Aggie man. Gig 'em. It's got the CDs. It's
Wow.
eight pack of CDs.
What'd you
And
do?
I've got
Giggle?
all these
What
CDs.
did you do? Can you make that motion again?
What?
What motion did you just make with
Gig
your
'em?
finger? Yeah, do that for me, Danny.
Gig 'em. No, gig 'em. Gig 'em.
That looks like a thumbs up from over here. What is that? How you gig?
That's what gig 'em is. Thumbs up. Gig 'em.
That's what that means.
Yeah.
I hate Texas A&M even more now.
Oh man. Great. I didn't go there.
Are
I
you
just
sure
went to-
that's what that means?
Your son's an A&M grad, right?
Yeah, he graduated 3 years. My daughter's a sophomore, and my
Your son is
my
wicked
wife
smart.
my wife bleeds maroon, man.
Is your son's wicked smart? Is he still doing one fantasy football and two? Is he online gambling yet? I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean,
Yes and yes.
get him on the parlay. We should just have a whole
Oh,
parlay show.
you want to ask him anything about stats? He
Yeah,
wanted
that's
to.
what I know. That's why I was thinking he was gambling.
Yeah.
Gambling doesn't have the stigma, like though, because of Penn, DKNG, the gambling does not have the stigma it once did. So anyway, we should talk
Correct.
these crappy markets. I'm just not a fan. They're wearing me out. And I like some things here, but this range, I'm going to show you the S&Ps, folks. This range, and the S&Ps I think are my favorite chart. I know the small caps were leading, but this is a bullish chart. Like, Tim, why don't you like this market? This is a bullish chart. It's because the way leaders are not the ones going up right now. Leaders are taking a break. Some leaders are doing all right, but like this is one of my favorite charts right here, Peloton. The boys at Goldman missed Peloton, so they downgraded it, but it's acting really well where it should be acting well at the 21. So this is your lowest risk entry point, in my opinion. Some people will say, well, the 50 is even lower. Well, for the way if everything reverts back to the mean, the last time you got an opportunity at the 21 was in mid-September. And so just riding the 5 and the 8 up, now it's to the 21. Does it do this again into earnings? I don't know. I don't profess to know, but I know I'm going to sell it if it starts closing below the 21, because if it starts closing below the 21, there's a good chance that it breaks through the 34, and then you're into no man's land into the 50-day, which is all the way down here. And so, and there's things acting like that just it makes it, I don't know about mentally challenging. I don't want to over dramatize what the market's doing, because the market is on a weekly time frame is really bullish. It's just the wiggles are just very wiggly right now. I call them the wiggles, the shakeout moves.
It's very wiggly.
Yeah, it's very wiggly. And I if you're a directional,
is that the band you listen to, Tim? The Wiggles?
The Wiggles are Australian, man. Your sister's down there.
I know.
Yeah. I got the Red Wiggle.
They're
What do
a
you
kids
got,
band for 4-year-olds.
They're what for 4-year-olds?
They're a little kids band. They're like 4, 5, 6-year-olds.
Hey,
every time my granddaughters come over, put the Wiggles on. Put the Wiggles on.
You're fooling, right? They're still a thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they're huge.
They got the next generation. They cashed out 3 of the guys and brought in 3 new ones and a girl.
I think one of the Wiggles passed away. Well, this show just took a turn.
It's possible. So my sister is married and all. She lives in Sydney.
Look at Hunter.
So they were actually a rock and roll band. They were trying to make it big.
Yeah, they didn't.
No, I know they didn't. And so they were like a little regional band, and but they could emulate anybody, and they were actually good. They just didn't quite make the big time. And I can't remember how, but somehow they got a kids.
They put out a kids record just for fun, just for like friends and family, and it took off.
No, they did. I think they did it for money. I think they went to go play some gig for kids, and so they started doing this thing, and all of a sudden it just took off, and so they shifted gears and sold their song.
I hear Kiss was a crappy band too, and then they started dressing up like women and vampires, and then they took off.
You just wanted to derail the show, didn't you?
I did.
I mean, Tim has absolutely no taste in music, so comments like that don't even bother me.
I hear every rose has its thorn, Danny, which is not a Kiss song.
Oh, well, he did put that picture of whatever that was up earlier, that blue spaceship or whatever.
You mean Carson Wentz?
No, the band.
Like seriously, I gotta stop. I think I'm done buying the dip on Carson Wentz. I think he's over the hurdle. Had a really good. He looked so bad in the first half. I mean, can we just be honest?
Yeah, he did.
Like what?
It was
hell?
really bad.
I mean, I get it. Like he's got nobody around him. I mean, but I mean, our offense, it's a bad. Every week's going to be like that. I hope we play the Giants every week or something.
Or the Cowboys.
No, God, the only solace I've had is that the Cowboys keep losing, and so, which has been.
It's a hell of a division.
Listen, we're in first place.
Horrible.
First place. So the market's got the wiggles. Let me get Don's thoughts because I got a bunch of things I want to talk about out of that, but I want to get Don's initial market thoughts while I look for my paraphernalia. Don, go ahead.
Well, you pretty much showing the consolidations last night on the video pretty much summed up what the market's doing. As long as the S&P holds 3,400, which it tested overnight on the futures a couple nights ago, buyers come in at that level. And then unless that changes, lots of selling in some leaders this week, particularly in the cloud type names, but
give me a couple names.
Rotation into some new leaders. Well, ESTC, I got stopped on a couple things this week. Apps I sold, and then I mean, these stocks were acting great, and they're all basically making the same pattern.
Yep.
You can't tell when things top. They all started pulling back on light volume, and then just looking at my notes here, SAS, I have under in the week column for 4 or 5 days this week. Datadog broke down, recovered the 100 level. Twilio has had a pretty harsh pullback.
Yes,
Zoom's
still a bad chart. Like that.
No, not a bad chart. Not a bad chart at all. But they got so extended that when something doesn't trigger a sell rule, it doesn't feel good to sit through a 15% pullback.
That's what I'm trying to articulate. That's exact because when I'm looking at Piton, like I was telling this to Danny, I was like, I mean, I don't want to get fast lead, which if you're not familiar with what happened to Fastly at home, most people are in our world, but let's take a look at it. Here's Fastly. And so this is why I don't want to buy the dip on stuff other than Carson Wentz.
That's not a dip. That is
that's a cliff.
Man.
That's a cliff dive. That's a cliff dive.
Yeah, and so it's just ugly. And so I was telling Danny, I said, look, if this doesn't hold the 21, this has been such a high flyer that, I mean, from 30. And so if it breaks the 21, I just want out. I don't care if it goes up without me, it's going to go up without me because I don't want to get fast lead. And it can start with a downgrade. Like just because I cynically talk about Goldman Sachs and their boys missing it. And look, some people might scoff at that or laugh at it. Look, the best humor has an element of truth to it. And I do think that that's true. If you want to say, people want to say the game's rigged all the time. I think there's a whole bunch of nonsense going on where some firm you've never heard of will upgrade or downgrade a stock. You don't think there's a little collusion going on in this industry like that? I firmly believe that. And so,
well, nobody ever died broke. Nobody ever died broke taking profits. And when you start getting those pullbacks, it can turn into something really ugly. It doesn't happen every time, but 1 out of 5 or 6 times, it's going to just keep going.
And that's why it's got to hold this level for me, even though it's coming into earnings. And we were talking Chipotle, folks, before you joined us. Hunter and I were, and I like Chipotle here a ton. I love Chipotle. I've loved Chipotle for the longest time. But look, it's acting really well here after this earnings gap. But this is why earnings are binary. Like Chipotle had a great quarter, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is this price. And I know, God, I'm sorry.
Let's segue for a sec. I mean, I didn't even talk to you about this, but you've now showed 2 of the 6 charts I wanted to point out related to gaps. So bring Fastly back up again very quickly. And I just want to reiterate some of the gap buy and sell rules that I've gone through on the gap webinar that I did. Gaps down, sometimes put in a bottom. Sometimes the low of that gap day that's it. All the sellers get out, a new set of buyers comes in. This was very obviously not the case with Fastly because you can see right away it made a lower low on the second day. If you didn't get out of it right away, you got to get out of it then. Conversely, CMG, which you just showed, had a gap down and it put in a bottom for now. In fact, closed at the upper part of its range and made a higher high on the second day. That's very bullish from a bottom standpoint on CMG, and it should not violate the low of that gap down day. Here's how about I bought 2 gaps last week. The first one failed miserably. Bring up LOGI.
Oh, Logitech. Okay.
Actually, it was earlier this week. On Monday, I bought them.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say. Do you want me to put it on a smaller time frame chart, or do you want daily?
No. Just close
Well,
in on the daily.
You got it. There you go.
There you go. So gap up, huge volume, broke below the gap, the low of the gap day. It should hold that. I've looked at thousands of these and it didn't. I sold it for a 3% loss and we moved on. Now, conversely, Snap.
Let me get that up for you.
This is doing exactly what you want these strong gaps to do. Bought that after hours on the gap up and it's 3 days in a row with higher highs. This is showing some incredible power. I compared it to Facebook in 2013 when it had its mobile moment when they finally decided that how to monetize it. And that is just exactly what you want to see.
Let me show you that on a monthly chart. 1 second, Don. I'm going to show folks that on a monthly chart because I don't want to.
July of 2013.
Yeah, let me. Here we go, right there. Let me
and it never looked back from that gap up.
And this is, boy, it's funny we're talking about this, Don, because were we doing this on the call like before the show started? I think we were. We were talking about Hunter and I were talking about the bottoming quarter when they break out. Hunter, what the hell were we just talking about before the show started? Chipotle.
Just Chipotle really and then Shake Shack.
Oh yeah, Shake Shack. Yeah, it's the bottoming quarter. Jesus, I can't believe, Don, you were going to talk about this. We don't plan the show, folks. I planned the show, but they don't know what I'm really going to talk about. Is this what you're talking about, the bottoming quarter, aren't you?
I'm talking about the breakout on massive volume from a base.
Yeah, and I call it the bottoming quarter. Like this is the one you have to buy because it doesn't look back. And what Don's doing with Snap, it's the same thing right now. And it's just two styles. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, another one that may be doing the exact same thing as of yesterday and into today is Align, ALGN.
Oh, I showed that last night.
And from what I've read about it, it's all these people doing Zoom.
Yep.
They want their teeth to be straight, and plus they're at home. Apparently, they're trays, and if you're at work and you want to eat lunch, you have to take the trays out and eat, and it's a mess. And if you're at home, you don't have to deal with any of that. Nobody can see what you're doing. And the volume was absolutely massive, and it also made the day 2 higher high.
You know, I'm going to make a bet here that I'm curious. I could be wrong, but I don't think. What's SDC? Smile Direct.
I was just about to say they had a good day yesterday too.
Yeah, and I made the point that this is the one that people will flock to because it's cheap. It's almost a $10 stock, and yet this is hot garbage. And
that's O'Neill's red dress, yellow dress story. He don't buy the leader, not the laggard. Don't buy the dress off the clearance rack. Buy the one that everybody wants.
Yeah, and that's a line. It's not SDC, and there's going to be a bunch of people trapped, I think, in SDC. Now, maybe this is the quarter, like because it's the market and anything can happen. This is the quarter that they bought, but you can't. What Don's showing you, folks, is you can't bet on that ahead of time. This isn't Hunter laying down a parlay on Align's got to win, SDC's got to win, Henry Schein, which is a dental supplier's got to win. Like SDC might just be hot garbage, and you won't know it until their next quarter. And if it comes down, and then it just consolidates here, and then it has the Snap move or the Facebook of 2013 move, well, then you're not going to be late. Because these things are going to go on multi-month runs. You're not going to be late at all. Is that a good summary, Don?
Yeah. And last chart, Netflix.
Oh yeah. Let's check in on that because I still got a position in Netflix. I want to.
So this is one that had a gap down in earnings, but has made lower lows the last 3 days, and this is not what you want to see. You want to see it act like CMG did, where buyers come in, and so far they haven't in Netflix.
This is one on my sell list, and let me just jump to it now. It's got to hold. I've got it from much lower, but just because I've got it from much lower doesn't mean I want to hold back through much lower. So if I take it to a weekly chart, it's got to hold this 21, this mean. Here, I want to get my marker engaged. It's got to hold this mean. And you can see that for the most part, this is March after the big sell-off. It's held the weekly mean. And so if it doesn't hold the weekly mean, I don't care what it is. I don't care that it's Netflix and everybody's watching whatever they watch on Netflix. You know what I watch on Netflix, Don? I watch a ton. It's really the show I watch on Netflix. I have Netflix probably just for this.
The
Great British
Wiggles?
Bake Off. No, Great British Bake Off. I love
Wow.
the Great British Bake Off. Like, man, you give me some Paul Hollywood. I'm not making that up. I love the Great British Bake Off. Look, there's always so much.
You know, the
market-
British aren't known for their cooking, right? Right, Tim?
They are excellent bakers, from according to this show. Listen,
Or their dentistry.
Oh, that is
A line not selling
That's
well
because of
in
what
Great
they
Britain.
eat.
Don, I don't know if you read the quarter, but Align could be making it because of their breakthrough in Great Britain.
It's possible. You're right.
Like, yeah, old team GB. You know, I've got
Hey,
some
Netflix. I'm sorry. One last chart. I want to
Yeah.
compare Netflix to another one that gapped down and hasn't recovered and was a COVID play that maybe might have peaked. Domino's Pizza, DPZ.
Oh yeah,
Very similar gap down on volume on its last earnings report.
Hold on, let me just show you. This is weekly,
that's a weekly. We need a daily.
Yeah. By the way, I'll get to the other. I find that interesting that it just stops there, like that. Just I'm not in it anymore. I had Domino's for the longest time, but it's got to hold that.
It is, but from a relative strength standpoint, it's no bueno.
Hey, let's explain that real quick. So what Don's saying is, even though it's holding the weekly 21, and this is kind of why Netflix is on the cut list for me, and here's Netflix again. It's not strong, and so I want to be in stocks that like Peloton, just for lack of a better stock right now. That's a different chart structure, even though it's pulled back to the 21. My favorite chart right now is RH. I love this consolidation, even though it came all the way back here, chopping around another gap up. That failed. It's just consolidating. I think that if it takes out, this is my options play this week with Restoration Hardware. That's my go-to.
See, now my gap rules, I would have sold that the day after because it already had a big run and then it had a gap and it broke through the low of the gap up day. And from a relative strength standpoint, this has done nothing against the S&P since that last earnings report.
Yeah, and so that's a really valid point about relative strength. When Don's talking relative strength to relative to what I should say right there, relative to the S&P 500, because if you've just got a bunch of RHs in your portfolio, then you're better off just buying the indices. If you gotta
exactly.
So it's not necessarily higher beta stocks. It's what's it doing relative to the market. And so like a lot of the high flyers, I've got this too, zoom. Look, and this is a daily chart. This is a bullish chart. It's just
very much so.
Yeah, it's just so convoluted because of the massive run that it's had. And this is why you don't chase. So I phrase it one way, Don phrases it another way. I want to buy at the mean. I think the mean is your lowest risk entry point. And I was just talking about that with Peloton, but what is the mean? And so like here is the mean to the average true range. For me, I set it on the average true range on 21 exponential. And you can see the mean, the daily price movement. So even though Zoom is pulled back almost 1.7% as we're taping this, the average price range of Zoom is almost $28. And so the mean represents this number right here. That's the mean. And so when you go 1, 2, and 3 of this number, so this would be 20, we'll just call it 28. And then you go 28 times 2, 28 times 3. When you get up to 2 and 3,
28 is one standard deviation. Let's put
Thank you. So when you go 2 standard deviations, 3 standard deviations above, you're so far stretched above the mean, and Don will measure it percentage-wise, that you're just prone to want to pull back. Like that's the point of pullback. And so where do you want to get Zoom? Like I missed Zoom, I never got Zoom. Your low risk entry point is here. It doesn't mean it can't go any lower. Conversely, it doesn't work as great. It can, but I don't find that just because it goes to 3 ATR to the downside means you're going back up. There's a good chance it will, but I find the upside is so much more predictable in how average.
But
true
if
range
that
speed.
lower, if that -3 has rolled over and is heading down, you can ride down with it, and that's not something you want to be involved with.
1,000% true what Don just said there. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with Zoom, but man, you pull back. I mean, it's pulled back 588 to 510. Like that's a big pullback, folks. And yet the chart is really bullish. So that's what makes it tough, man. That's what makes this kind of market tough. And so, Don, you mentioned some things that people are rolling into. What are they rolling? Where's the market rolling into? And we've seen this before.
Hunter is going to talk about that in his segment.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what. Can we do it right now? Can we do Hunter's segment right now? It seems to fit.
Hunting relative strength with Hunter.
Oh, we need a new name for that.
Nobody has came in with one.
I like it.
Well,
before
my
he does
my
that.
grandmother
Oh.
my grandmother texted me and said, you need a better name than hunting relative strength with Hunter.
Yeah.
And so
tell your grandma.
I asked her for
like Dr.
suggestions,
J?
but she didn't have anything.
What do you call your grandmother? What's your name for?
I'd rather not say.
Oh
to be
no!
honest.
I totally.
And it's not.
This.
It's her self-imposed name.
Those are the best ones, man. Those are the best ones.
You truly want to hear it. You truly want to hear it.
Do.
Everyone wants to hear it.
We're not going forward with the show until we hear it.
And listen, we'll never use it again. We'll never use it against you.
Don't listen to them. They're lying. They're not. You're going to hear that every week. Then.
Let me tell you, you're in safe hands. I hear AK is a good driver.
I feel really safe. Yeah, I hear the sincerity.
You couldn't be in safer hands with this valued piece of information.
And now I'm regretting bringing up my grandmother.
No, you're not.
Come on, we're the caller.
All right, so here's the name. Me Mommy.
Love it. Me Mommy?
There's a third syllable
like
on there.
M-E Mommy.
Hunter can't lie. That's my wife's grandmother's name too. Me Mommy.
Awesome.
I don't know where it comes from, but
you Hunter, me Mommy.
Me Mommy.
You could say perhaps that way, yeah.
You could.
But she listened to the podcast, and that is a technological advancement for her.
That's awesome.
I was impressed with her, and she was proud that she was able to navigate and watch it. So she's figuring out how to navigate the website.
So she learned it.
Does she have a nickname for you? Like, is she proud of her little Bulbula or something like that?
Well, I've got that for you too. It comes from when I was a kid. I don't know if you guys are Star Wars fans at all, but my nickname was Sky Talker. Just because I wouldn't shut up as a child. Yeah.
Sky Talker.
Y'all are finding out all kinds of wonderful, embarrassing things about me.
Danny's nickname was Gig'em.
That went flat. That one.
I don't know how to transition from this. I'm just doing it as we go, folks. Well, I'm glad Me Mommy's watching. Does Me Mommy trade stocks?
Well, I've worked with them in the past. My grandfather, which his name is Papa, a lot more standard. He's the investor trader, so we communicate a lot. But she's involved in the conversations as well.
Well, she's probably more creative. You need to ask her to come up with a good name for your segment.
Yeah.
I will send her a text. I'm sure she'll be thrilled that she was mentioned on the podcast. She'll probably feel famous, but
she's
I'll ask her.
Yeah.
Don, Tim's the portfolio Tim and I work with stock and that's what I said. What do you want to call the portfolio, Tim? Stock and ETF.
I like
it's got stocks and ETFs.
Look, as much as I try to banter, I like simplicity, man. I like Mike Tyson walking into the ring with just a towel. Like I don't need. I like
the simplicity of stacking 3.4 million baseball cards in the corner of a room.
That works, by the way. Boy, I really got to do something.
So simple.
I think maybe a different segment too that I'd like Hunter to do is like I'd like him to do a parlay for the coming week on stocks. Like we're always giving our picks down through the videos and stuff, but if Hunter did a parlay.
Oh, let's go with his he's got hunting relative strength with Hunter will give you the parlay for next week.
Maybe we just call his whole segment the parlay.
Maybe.
I talked to
rotation, the
Don
big
about
rotation.
parlays a good bit.
Donnie, can you do the online gambling on DA?
I don't know. Hunter does.
You
He's our DraftKings go-to guy. He loves DraftKings.
You don't want to bet the Jaguars?
Oh no.
No.
Well, maybe you
Did
should
you watch
buy
the
on
game last week?
Wait, who's the quarterback?
Jaguars
Who's
versus
the
the
mustache?
Cowboys.
Who's the
It's
mustache?
Minshew, who actually went to Troy University for a year. He walked on and then transferred all over the place.
Don, here's the trick. Buy every Minshew card out there on eBay, and then your team too will start to win.
Minshew peaked
I think
after
his
week
stock
2.
is going down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It looks somewhat promising, but it's just hasn't
2 weeks,
continued that way.
Is it a lack of talent?
No,
not on him, around him.
I think there's actually decent skill players.
The OL he's gotten happy feet a little bit, and it's affected his accuracy the last couple of weeks because the OL is just trash, and they get overwhelmed every week. So you got a dancing quarterback always coming out of the pocket, and only Patrick Mahomes can throw accurately on the run. So
is that guy not amazing?
Yeah, I'm on the tank for Trevor Lawrence train now. I've transitioned.
I wasn't, but I hopped on it last week.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen though because the Jets are god awful.
Let's go back to the stocks.
Yes. Okay. So really what we're talking about here, and Don coined it, new merchandise, right? So this is 4 names that are relatively recent IPOs that showed some strength, particularly yesterday when you had a lot of those leaders selling off. These were strong. So first I'm going to start with one that is a peer or a competitor to Logitech. So pull up CRSR first, Corsair Gaming.
Yeah, man, this is on my list.
So interestingly enough, Don showed the big gap up in Logitech, which ultimately didn't work out well. Well, inversely, Corsair Gaming has actually outperformed them since that gap up, which just kind of goes to show you who the leader is amongst those two and in that group.
Absolutely.
And I think even today, let me pull them up really quick as well.
Yeah, that inside day, that last candle's an inside day.
Yeah.
Oh, Daniel, yes, it is.
Hold on a second, Daniel. Gig 'em.
They're up 3% today, and
I'm very astute with technical analysis. I just let you guys
got your issue of technical analysis monthly sitting there.
I'll give my gold nugget, my platinum nugget every once in a while.
That was the Bjorn Borg serve of the day from Danny Stewart.
That was the cross-court winner passing shot on the line.
There you go.
Were you a two-handed backhander, Dan?
I was.
Oh, Danny two-hands it all right. Let's get back to the parlay.
I had to, Tim.
God, that didn't even hit a filter in my head. That was just, I heard it.
Just irresistible, couldn't stay away.
Not sure you have a filter.
Well, you've never had a filter.
The words touch the transistors.
Why are we talking about a filter now?
And it's just go for like the little people in the head going, go for it. Like they didn't even look at a filter. They're like, what the hell was that? That was the words coming out.
Tim, with your lack of filter, I wonder if you tiptoe around the house every once in a while because you say something you don't realize is bad and your wife's going to come after you.
I'm going to have to tell my grandmother to skip over this part.
Yeah. Me mommy.
Oh, this is public.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just trim up her version.
I guess we should bring up Jeffrey Toobin at this point then, should we?
No one's going to go snow tubing this year. Let's do more parlay.
Next up.
Okay, so to give the people what they want, though, CRSR manufactures hardware components, accessories, peripherals used by gamers and content creators. Okay, so this
you're
is
doing great. Like,
apparently
thrown you off like a lot, and you're doing great.
I stay focused, right?
He's better than any of us three.
The I guess the overarching thesis here for Corsair and for Logitech, which is why they had such great numbers, is because of COVID, you've had a lot of people in the house. There's been a massive increase in people trying to stream and streamer popularity. And I've seen it firsthand from February, March to now. The streamers that I watch personally on Facebook and other platforms have gained an astronomical amount of followers and support. So anyways, that's just a good one.
Are you on Twitch?
I've used Twitch before.
The new.
That's the N in Can Slim.
Yeah, that is the N.
And you also had, I'm not thinking of the name right now. It was Microsoft's streaming platform that shut down. So you had more people shift to Facebook and other platforms, which maybe is bullish for Facebook. I don't know.
You said
but
shift.
God, what was the name of that streaming platform? I can't remember. But important note on Corsair, they do have earnings expected within the next week or so.
All right, give me another
So
one.
number two, Array Technologies. I touched on this one last week when I mentioned solar, ARRY. They design and manufacture ground mounting systems used in solar energy products.
Let me get this on a smaller time frame chart just real quick.
By the way,
so
are we talking about Periscope?
What'd you say?
Periscope, the streaming.
I don't think it's Periscope. Mixer is the name of the streaming platform that shut down. And interestingly enough, you guys probably don't know who these people are, but Ninja and Tfue
I
are
know
two of the
who
most
Ninja
popular.
is.
Okay, that Mixer had to pay out $20 million to Ninja, even though he only worked for them for like a month.
I thought Ninja was an
and then he
American
just switched to another
Gladiator.
platform. Like the actual Ninja with the blue hair. Okay.
I'm just joking. That's a 90s joke.
I got it somewhat, but I wasn't 100% sure.
That's cool.
All right, so Array, the interesting thing is here is they did not participate in the big sell-off on 10/21 that hit a lot of other solar names like Sunrun, JKS, Daco Energy, and some of these other names that had been really hot.
Almost
and then
like
they had a really strong day yesterday.
And into Array. Yeah.
Correct. And then today, I think they're kind of floundering around. I don't think they're having a great day, but they're holding some of the gains that they made yesterday. I think they were up, let's see here, 10/22.
Down 4% right now, but looking
up
good.
12% yesterday.
Yeah.
So, and that's going to be the case. Some of these next few names are giving back a little bit today, but they've had massive moves over the last couple of days.
Can I pause you 1 second, Hunter? Because I'll throw this out to Danny and
Go
John,
ahead.
because we don't talk politic on the show, because you have to be able to make money no matter who's in office. And look, whatever your political persuasion is at home, your goal is to build your wealth and keep your wealth, or whatever it is you consider your wealth. And I like to view it as you have to keep your wealth first and then grow it second. And so because that's risk. Risk is first, then growth is second in my mind. But I had a hypothesis, and I'll throw it out there, and I wonder if anyone else is wondering this. If the stocks that are considered Biden friendly come down, is that normal ebb and flow with the markets, or is that the most accurate polling going on? Now, and I'll let Don or Danny, and Hunter, you can answer it too. I'm asking the question.
I would say, I mean, the markets are a phenomenal forecasting mechanism. So, I mean, usually the markets are reflective of what tends to be the consensus.
Let me get this on a daily chart. This is an hourly chart, so let me make this a little bit more. Like, this is still a bullish chart, folks. This is Jinko Solar. This is one of the leaders in the solar movement. Array too, but
yeah.
What do you think, Don? Any thoughts on that? You don't have to have any thoughts. You can have no thoughts. I hypothesized that, and I thought, I wonder if that's interesting.
Normally I would have thought that maybe that was a plus for Trump, but they went so far so fast that it made you be just part of a normal correction and consolidation. So I don't. If you see the marijuana stocks, however,
let's do that real quick. That's because they are very TLRY. We'll do that.
Bring up MSOS.
CDC.
This is a new ETF that focuses on U.S. cannabis companies, and that's the one I'm watching as a bellwether. And nothing weak in that at all.
No, not at all. Yeah. No, yeah. And so and by the way, it doesn't. not a, I don't want to say not a dog in the fight, just not being political, just wondering if the market is going to signal something of what's happening.
Well, not being political either, but do you want to, we manage money for clients. Does the candidate that wants to raise capital gains taxes, when does that cross into from politics for what's best for your business?
Yeah, and you could, let's just pull up FFTY here real quick. I haven't looked at this in a while, but I'm curious. So here's FFTY, and these are supposedly the 50 best growth stocks in the country, and it's really not going anywhere.
Yeah, that doesn't look good recently, but that's just a pullback to the 50-day moving average.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, I wonder if people are thinking that, and they're like, hey, we gotta, you know, maybe one candidate's winning, and we're going to start taking profits here, so we don't owe the taxes on a bunch of things.
Well, and I would say that all just on a side comment that FFTY is the fit. Maybe they've got too many stocks and it's a more narrow market. You want some of the leading stocks more narrow. You may want 15 or 20, not 50. To your point about the do some sectors or you know, indicate or give a signal to who's going to win? Tim, I don't know if you recall, but before the last election, we were looking at gold. We were watching gold, and everybody thought that Hillary was going to win. And we, on the podcast the week before the election, we said that we thought that gold was signaling a Trump victory. I mean, we were on record saying that regardless. So.
Tim, you're muted. Are you muted, Tim?
You're muted. We can't hear you, Tim.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I lost sound for a second.
No, I hit
I was
something.
getting scared.
I have that chart saved, is what I was saying. Like that's the, I should have brought it up for the show, and I don't want to go hunt for it right now. But that's what I mean by what the markets can tell you about what's really happening. And so many people are wrapped around the axle with news, and news is just another form of entertainment, in my opinion. And the markets are not entertainment. And I think that this is real money. Like now, the wiggles, as I'm describing them, it's algorithmic trading. Like there's a reason why you're trading in a range. They're shaking people out till the whether it's up or down. It'll definitely be powerful, and it will be definitive, whatever the move is.
I think the markets are a better indicator than the polls.
Yeah, and that's why I just posed the question, and I just hypothesized pot stocks and solar stocks because they've had this tremendous run, and then you can just say, well, like Don was saying, like they've had such a big run. I mean, you can't view a pullback, which is normal after this huge move, as interpreting anything. And I agree. It's what you know. That's why I don't believe and this goes to our whole philosophy, though. If you think about it, we don't bet before the event happens, which just goes back to an earlier thing we were talking about, Don, with the bottoming quarter or your gap rules with Facebook of 13. Like I'm not. When you listen to CNBC or you hear knuckleheads go on Bloomberg, and they're like, you know, we're positioning for the first quarter with stocks like Caterpillar, and we think the industrials, by the way, great looking chart, right? and they're pre-positioning, and there's nothing in the markets that has to have you pre-positioned. You just don't have to be there. How many of you were pre-positioned this year in Bank of America? I mean, just Don, give me some hot garbage stocks. The banks always come up in my mind, but there's other hot.
Well, banks
stocks.
and energy are the two that have just been horrific.
Yeah, and God.
Well, so what Tim is saying is you don't want to hypothesize and try to do an economic forecast 6 months out in pre-position. You want to watch what is happening while it's happening and get confirmation. So we don't want to do pre-positioning. We want to have confirmation before we.
Not even close. You want to be able to screen. Like what Hunter's giving you, which we'll get back to in a second, is a screening mechanism. He's giving you the results of his screening process, his screening mechanism, and showing you names that maybe aren't come. That's the beauty of screening. Like how many of you knew Array or knew Corsair? Some of you I know do, but a lot of people don't. They're newer names, And so the screening process identifies those, and it's very revealing, you know. And you don't always have, like with Corsair, you don't always have to be in a Logitech or Take-Two or an ATVI and stuff like that. Go ahead, Hunter. What other names you have?
Yeah, so you had one of these up earlier, ticker symbol SNOW.
Yeah.
They're having a little bit of a give back.
Yeah. This is completely on my
but
list. I've been waiting for a pullback.
And Don mentioned this actually on Tuesday. He said it had been kind of bobbing like a basketball underwater right around 250, trying to break out past it. Finally did, and then had two really great days in a row, up about 7.5% Wednesday and about 10% on yesterday. And so they're giving some of that back today, but they are holding above, those previous levels. They're staying above 250 at least for the time being. But I know this is one Don had been watching. But it's another one of those new names. They do not have earnings immediately upcoming. It's more towards the end of November, from what I can tell. But the RS is strong.
Yeah, aggressive buy point would be the 8. I don't know if you'll get a pullback to the 8. Where are you looking to buy it, Don?
Not before it pulls back to the 8. It really is strong.
Yep.
Then I ignored it. I got the alert above that 254-ish level on Wednesday, but the other software stocks were just getting hit so hard. And I mean, it may just be a matter of those being sold and money moved into something like this, similarly what we talked about with Array. And that's why this is never as easy as it looks when you look at the charts in hindsight.
So the group wasn't, what Don's saying is, and this is why I started the show with I don't know if I said it's a frustrating market or it's wearing you out. That the group's Snow's on my list. The group's trading really poorly, but here's one doing well. Well, do I buy that one because is it going to come back to earth? And so it makes it tough. The ETFification, that's a word, of the markets has made it that they trade almost as like a group. And so when the group's not acting well, it's really hard to buy the one that isn't. That's challenging it. But I don't know if you'll get back to the 8. There's a good chance you might. The 8's kind of where I'm targeting. And someone might say, well, why not just the 21, Tim? You're always talking about the 21. Look, the group wasn't trading well when it was making its move out of there, and that kind of throws you off your game a little bit. We're human. What else you got, Don? No, what else you got, Hunter? I'm sorry. Was that it?
Last one here is in regards to new names that were showing some strength this week is ticker symbol U, Unity Software. Similar to Snow, had a nice day on Wednesday, up about 4.5%, and then up north, right around 11% yesterday, giving some of that back today, but they're only down about 4.2. Had a big move and broke out to about 104 this morning, and gave it back. But another one where it seemed to be money was flowing when other software, tech, cloud names were selling off.
Hey, Don, look at this. Well, I'm going to draw an arrow. I'm not being facetious. Did you just buy Chipotle?
I did not, but I got an alert on it.
It's literally, it's going on. Like I had it just coagulating under here on this 2-minute chart. 1335 into a
That's
Friday.
exactly what that you couldn't ask for a better bottoming gap down candle than what you saw yesterday in that.
I'll take this opportunity since Hunter, you've got another segment, right?
Yeah, I've got some more. I've got a couple of individual names, and then I've got some industry comments, but it shouldn't take super long.
Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. So Danny, I did it to myself again. We've got a bunch of folks that do covered calls, so I'll share it. So my favorite stock is RH, and this is kind of the one I've been focusing on options wise. And so this stock is, Don, what's the average daily volume on RH? I don't want to go off this chart. It's not huge. And the options are super thin, and
675,000.
It's the Chipotle of housing. Chipotle is what, 550, 575?
You mean the average daily volume?
Yeah.
It's even less than that. It's
331.
Chipotle, I'm telling you, man, Chipotle options.
Yeah, but it's a lot more expensive stock too. You got to take that into consideration.
Yeah, it just doesn't trade. It just doesn't trade that much volume, I guess, is what I was getting at. So Danny, I did it again though, and this is what I wanted to bring in some theta. I wanted to bring in some decay. I sold calls again, Danny, on the stock. I feel like I'm gonna. There's a great stock nerd that listens to our podcast, and she's gonna go, Tim, you did, and I just did the average true rate. I did the implied volatility move on it. Oh, this is interesting, Don. I'm gonna pause that real quick. Look at this. These were up over 1%. These are the volatility futures. And so did did Mark Meadows cause this to come lower? We're still inverted with him.
That is when it happened.
Yeah, that's nuts. So here, let's RH.
Folks, that means risk came down. They're talking pretty fast.
Yeah.
Risk just came down after.
So I've got some, these expire next week, so I was cutting it close, but I was like, and I was using expected move on RH to gauge this. And it didn't look like, I don't think anyone had RH going up over 3% today. At least I didn't. So when it was at $20 or so, I'm like, let me just sell some calls. Again, what I've done effectively here is cap my gains. And Danny, I got to tell you, the stocks that are worth selling covered calls on or selling calls on, whether you're doing it stocks or option wise, I think you just cap your gains. Like, take smaller size. Do you have any? I know Danny deals with a bunch of folks that do covered calls. I want your thoughts again on covered calls, because you got to talk me out of doing this.
Well, so I've got a couple people who call me up and ask advice on the covered calls, like Tim said. And the bottom line is the mundane stocks that don't have a lot of volatility in the stock itself, don't move very much. They don't have a lot of premium. They're not. So the stocks that have a higher premium, and there's actually guys traveling around the country doing these dog and pony shows where they're teaching you how to screen for yield, for premium on the call, and then go buy the stock and roll the covered call. Well, normally that's after the stock's had a nice run and people extrapolate, and so you get a 5% premium, but then the stock goes down quite a bit. But the other thing is, if you actually do pick a nice leading stock that's got some upside, and then you roll a covered call, now you've capped your upside, and it really is not worth the juice a lot of times. So, covered calls are okay, I guess. I like more, but for the best stocks, I'd rather just own the stock and then manage the stock.
And it feels good to get that data. Like when the stocks sideways or down, it feels good to have that money trickle into your account and it kind of cushion the blow. And I felt great about that this morning. But when they break out, you're like, oh, I just cap. The quickest way, Danny, I have found to cap my gains in any trade is to sell calls against it. Like, it's a guaranteed. Like, it's the best setup I've ever identified, and I will absolutely positively cap my gains the moment I do it. So I think that happens more often than not with people. Like, you have to own so much if you're doing covered calls in the stock to make it worth it. Like, other than that, you're just screwing around, and I'd have been better off not doing it. Which brings me to a quick, Don, if I brought up dividends, can you give me your talk on and Danny, your talk on dividend stocks, like how poorly they're doing this year, the high yielders, because I think we did that earlier, and Danny's got a spiel on it. But this kind of nonsense floats around all the time. Like Warren Buffett here, we can learn a lot from Warren Buffett's strategy. Are you guys fans of the Motley Fool? I am not. I do not like the Motley Fool. I'm not going to hide my disdain for that.
No.
No, yeah, me either. So
it's a marketing
yeah.
There's some good people on there, and then there's some people that are just looking to pump things.
Yeah, and so as you go about your financial life, it's smart to learn from people who are great at managing money. I'm going to get Danny. You're about to get your dander in a duff here. It's hard to top Warren Buffett for that. His shares of his company, Berkshire Hathaway, have risen by. These are the things that they always throw out before they give you what's going to turn out to be the worst advice ever. 2,744,000. 0.62% between 1964 and 2019. That's an average annual growth rate of 20%. One of Buffett's wealth building strategies available to all of us, investing in healthy. This is such garbage language because no one defines what it truly is. Healthy and growing dividend paying stocks. Over decades, Buffett has bought many companies outright, such as Dairy Queen and BNSF, Railroad Network, but he's also bought portions of other dividend-paying companies like American Express, Apple, and Bank of America. And they're touting how you can get dividends. And what they go on to say here is that you may enjoy similar results as Warren Buffett on a smaller scale if you park your money in some great dividend-paying stocks. And so, one, I think, Don, are you choking on that because that got you in it? Yeah, I don't blame you.
I'm choking on the fact that he does not pay a single penny out in dividends and is held up as a great dividend guy.
Oh, the hypocrisy is so huge. Principle, one, like we got to talk about principle. The opportunity you're costing yourself, parking your money in anything and thinking it's safe is the worst thought process. There is nothing safe about the markets. So what I'll do is I want to go to Don first. Don, give me your talk on some of the high yielders that would have left you high and dry. I know you know this off the top of your head.
Yeah, collecting a 4% dividend when your capital depreciation is 30% just means you only lost 26%. That's nonsense.
That's not. That's like parking your Ferrari in the neighborhood you know it's going to get stolen.
Well, I don't know if that's what it's like, but
well, they said park your money. You're bound to lose. Is what I was getting at. You're bound to lose.
But the thing is that at least collecting the dividend gives you a false sense of security. What sense of security do you have parking your vehicle in a bad neighborhood?
You made it work. Give me some names.
Oh no, how about this? But I have a car alarm. How about that?
That's what it is. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it to the circle.
You get there and your rims are gone and your windows are busted out, but at least you have a car alarm.
It's going off. Yes.
Yeah.
Give me some names that people might be surprised are doing poorly that are high yielders. We did this a while ago. I should have given you a heads up.
AT&T is the one that really jumps out to me.
Yeah.
It's just I mean, and then even with that gap up in earnings that they just had this week.
You throw this on a monthly chart. There's a couple I'll give you too. When they say, and by the way, when they say healthy, this is the problem. They use code language in here that it's meant to make you feel comfortable, but it's like there's no definition of what healthy is. Like when Don and I are screening for stocks to put in the portfolio, and Hunter's running his screens, we're looking for certain characteristics that meet certain percentages for growth and earnings and revenue and institutional support, and then we're matching that with the market's direction. There's a gazillion ways to define what you think. Is AT&T in business? Well, that's healthy for me. Like they got a heartbeat, but that's not a long-term healthy chart.
GE's another one. People are happy that GE's up 30% over the last 3 weeks, but look at a longer-term chart in that. And then what happens? They cut their dividends, right?
It's gross. It's gross. And the one that always comes to mind for me is XOM.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that.
It's just hot garbage. And in people, I mean, regardless of what you think about fossil fuels or Exxon in particular, this is in every dividend yielding portfolio. And it's Exxon. They're not going out of business, but they're not making you like what are they down this year, Don? It's got to, what did they start the year at? I got this on a monthly chart.
They started, Philip Morris is another one when the next chart to show. Yeah, they were at 71 at the beginning of the year. They're at 34 now, more than cut in half.
PFM?
Don has got us 5, 6, 7, 8% dividend. Come on.
Yeah, it's such.
Yeah, and a car alarm.
You lost what, 30, 40%? So you can get that 7%.
Which Philip Morris do you want, Don? The international one or the domestic one?
PM was the chart I just looked at. I imagine they both look like garbage.
This is monthly. It's not going at 123 to 75.
Mo is not as bad, but
77. Well,
yeah, I mean these things topped in June of 2017. What has the market done since then?
And that's what I'm talking about in terms of opportunity cost. How many shares? And this is where people get lost with the dividend discussion. And I always joke, like, is it worth it to lose that much money in principal? If like how many shares do you have to own at getting 5% or 6% or whatever you think is great in your world? Like how many bags of groceries does that really buy? Well, I'm getting paid to wait. Wait for what? Wait for smoking to go back up? By the way, smoking actually has taken an uptick in COVID, but look, it's not reflected in the stock. So what are you waiting for? What are you getting paid to wait? Macy's has a huge dividend yield. Hunter, can you look that up real quick? I don't know if you can find it. I forget what it is, but it's, look at that.
M.
Just
Yeah.
garbage.
Holy crap. Macy's has a 21%
Yeah, they have
yield.
Yeah, I know, and it's the only reason why people are going to it, because
That's because the price has gotten crushed.
right,
Yeah, I
but
know.
But will
they're
they
buying
even
it.
be able to pay it?
Yeah.
The
Probably
best
not.
the best companies take that money and they reinvest it and they
Like
build
Berkshire
that.
Hathaway, like Warren Buffett.
Yeah, like that. So when they say be like Buffett, you will not get rich doing this. You will not get wealthy. You're not going to put your kids through school doing this. You have to have so many shares to make this. And some of you do.
Let me jump in here for a minute.
Go ahead, please.
Clean this up, okay? Folks, it doesn't matter whether you call it dividends, capital gains, royalties, distributions. It's all about the net to you after fees and taxes. This year, dividend stocks have not been the place to be. It's been growth stocks, okay? So a dividend paying portfolio may be up 5, 6, 7%. A growth portfolio can be up 18, 19, all the way up to 20, 30%. It's not true. Now, regarding Warren Buffett, so he buys these companies that he controls. He gets a controlling stake in them or owns them outright, and he can control the dividend. So he makes them pay out a dividend. Into what? Into Berkshire Hathaway. So they pay a dividend to another corporation. Guess what? Berkshire Hathaway does not pay a dividend. So Warren Buffett in that article are lying to you. He's using their cash flow of these other companies to grow his own company in capital gains. Warren Buffett is taking capital gains, not dividends. Those dividends are not being paid to Warren Buffett. They're being paid to Berkshire Hathaway. Guess what? When you're a C Corp and you own another C Corp, you get a dividend received deduction. That means 80% of the dividend is tax-free. So he's getting this, excuse me, company that he owns, they pay a dividend to Berkshire Hathaway, and then Berkshire Hathaway uses that money to grow and consolidate and buy other companies that are doing strong. So Berkshire Hathaway is not a dividend paying company, and that's not what Warren Buffett does. That article's lying. How's that, Tim?
And that's all I got to say about that. Giggle, Danny.
And Berkshire is no panacea of safety. It fell more than the S&P fell during the COVID crisis, and it's recovered only half of what the S&P has. So,
and look, one of his reasons he's got a strong annualized return over such a long time period is he actually was one of the earliest guys to, after the inflationary time of the 70s, he got in very early in 81 and 82, right near the bottom before the market recovery, and then he rode it through the 80s. Most managers didn't get in until 83 or 84. They got in later, and so those year and a half jumpstart helped his annualized return. If you look at his return over the last 10 or 15 years, it's not that strong.
All right. Let's do this, Daniel. Let's do Hunter's. I'll tell you what. Let's do, Danny, I want you to do the admin type closeout. We'll do Hunter's next segment. I'll get Don's take on the market, a little 21 over 21 talk, and then I've got a couple things chart-wise I want to show people that are going to probably affect markets in the coming week. So let's do that. You ready, Danny?
Yeah. All right, folks. Listen, if you like what you heard, please tell a friend, tell a neighbor. Just tell them, send them to revereasset.com, and they can just sign up. There's a subscribe button on the top, in the top middle, and they'll get this podcast delivered right to their inbox. Plus, they'll get our daily market insight, which Don and Tim rotate. Pretty soon, Hunter's going to rotate in, where they do a 10-minute daily market video showing you what we're looking at, things we're doing, things you can research, actionable ideas. There's also a webinar button. Don does about once every month or month and a half. He does a lunch and learn at noon Eastern on Wednesdays, where he does a live market hour-long teaching session, different topics, whether it's relative strength or position sizing or how to buy and sell. things like that. He just did one this last Wednesday. If you want a copy of that, just email any of us and we'll be happy to forward it to you. We're also on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and go to Revere Asset, search for it, and it'll take you right to all of these podcasts that we've done. And it also gives you all of Don's Lunch and Learns, or about 15 now. So it's all kinds of different things. You can also email, and we won't spam you, we won't hassle it. This is all about education. So you don't have to worry about us browbeating your friends or family. You can go to any of our emails, Dan@RevereAsset.com, Tim@RevereAsset, Don@RevereAsset, or now Hunter @Revere Asset. And you could also follow us old school at 855 Real Wealth.
Dan, I know you strive for accuracy, and you won't mind me correcting this. Berkshire is trailing the S&P over 5 years and 10 years, but ahead of it over the last 15 years.
There you go.
And look, folks, we don't have any salespeople. Everything that we've grown exponentially just by word of mouth because of you, fellow stock owners and market lovers, sharing the unique way we look at markets with a whole bunch of empathy and compassion for individual investors, and our model of giving away our information. We give it to you. If you want to act on it, great, have at it. If you'd like help with it, we're here to do that for you. And other sources of interest might be our Twitter feeds. And so and Twitter for me is the easiest way to get a hold of me. You can email me, but I get a lot of emails and they take me a while to answer. But if you follow me on Twitter, see, I got a message right here. You will be texting buddies. You just got to let me know that you followed me. And you can follow Don, who will give you 70, look at this, 70s basketball legends. That's Red Auerbach and
the end of that video is amazing. He drops the ball behind his knees, claps his hands in the front, and catches it before it gets to the floor. Yep. Pistol Pete Maravich.
Pretty awesome video. And Don, my handle is @TJ Razor. Don's is @DVandenborg. And then Danny, let's see, let me get the marker up there.
Mine's easy, @1Danny Stewart.
Yep. And so look, the Twitter, a lot of you don't like social media, or you think you're too old for social media. Use it as a resource and use us as your resource. I'm telling you, we're more accessible than there's no other portfolio managers, I don't think, that are more accessible than what now the four of us are. I don't think you'll find a foursome that's, it doesn't sound good coming out of my mouth. I was about to. Let me just try to rephrase that on the fly.
The Four Stooges.
No, I was about to say you won't find a foursome.
Ric Flair always talked about the Four Horsemen.
Oh, he did?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going
Arn Anderson, Ole Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and Ric Flair.
Yeah, bring it back around.
The original Four Horsemen.
So he's becoming a professional broadcaster, Danny. That's what you do. You circle back to points made earlier to emphasize it. That's one day, Danny, we're going to get you there, Gig'em.
I need to get an Australian Shepherd to herd you guys.
Good luck on that one.
Yeah, so look, Twitter it's a resource. And you don't have to scroll through the garbage. There's a lot of garbage on Twitter. Just interact with us. We're more than happy to interact with you. It's probably the easiest thing to do. And then look, we always get it. Danny always gets asked. Danny takes all the calls. That's not me being facetious. You can call anytime. Weekends, we know that's when you're available. And Danny's going to pick up the phone. But a lot of people say to Danny, can you show me your back testing? Or I want to back test you guys. And we always have the same answer no matter who you talk to. And the easiest way to back test this is click this link right here, Daily Market Insight. What I want you to do is go back. Like there are, how many tabs? 170 tabs. Folks, that's 170 pages of video since we started doing them. Like the entire business model is to be transparent, show you everything that we're doing, and then be your champions, be the individual investor's champion. Whether you take our information, you're more aware, whether you pass it on, we just want to help in any way. And if you want us to do it for you, we would love the opportunity to serve you. But you can go through and see how we're handling any market, anytime. I don't know what page February of this year and March is on, but you can go back and watch every video Don and I did from, hey, if the market breaks this level, we're really selling off. That was the third week of February. I put that out there. And Don was doing the bear market class in January going, look, this is what we're preparing for. Like it's not because the only thing that pops in my
You can email me. I've got all those in an
Yeah.
email. I can send
Yeah,
you
like,
a certain time
it's not
period.
because we're Clio and we're forecasting. We're not preparing for anything. We're just interpreting price, and that in turn, that is the skill. And when people say, and they always say it like they say the F word, you can't time the market, and what they're telling you is they don't know how to read charts. It's really a reflection in the mirror upon the person who says you can't time the market, just buy it. They're intellectually lazy, and some of these people are your loved ones, but they're blowhards. And I the fact that there are people doing it, I would want to believe that people are so smart that they would want to go, wow, someone's doing it, I want to find out. And we don't edit videos, we don't pull down videos, but when people just dismiss, that's such intellectual lazyism. Lazyism is a word, right, Danny? Yeah, it's intellectual. It's the practice of being intellectually lazy is what it is. It's going, you can't just time. No one can do that, and we do it every week. And yet,
some might use the word laziness, but lazyism, gets the point across
it's the
just as
practice
well.
of intellectual lazyism. And some
We got
people
to have a segment, Tim Sniglitz.
Yeah, because, and I'm telling you, man, that intellectual laziness is the right word there, isn't it?
I believe it is. Most of America also believes it is.
Well, I'm going to stick with mine. The intellectual lazyism of some of your loved ones is appalling. And it goes back to something I talked about a couple weeks ago, that you defend what defines you. And unfortunately, some of us are just that. Like when people don't have a skill set, they talk it down. And they talk what other people can do. And it's so destructive mentally that you just want to avoid it at all cost. And so if you want to see what we've been doing, look at this, wang, bang, thank you, fang. You're not going to find that. You think you're going to find that on Fidelity? You know what Fidelity is going to give you? 30 stocks to get dividends from while the market figures out the presidential election. And you're not going to make a dime.
Why the bond market is there's still opportunity at these low yields.
Yeah. Mutual funds that won't rape and pillage. They won't give you that.
And Kudlow just came out and said stimulus talks are not progressing. So
are you kidding me? I told you they'd get a gurney out and wheel Kudlow out there. Let's check the markets got started, Kudlow. I knew it. They get the ambulance up there. The guys come out in the gurney and they wheel him out there and he talks on a microphone. Why would he? Why it's such conflicting messaging? Does Kudlow know who Mark Meadows is?
Mark Meadows might have sent him out. Who knows?
Who comes out at 3? Who comes out at 2:30 Central to talk it up into the weekend? I'm out of players. Like Mnuchin's talked, Mark Meadows has talked, Kudlow's talked. Are they out of people?
Speaking of 2:30, here's a joke. What is the best time to go to the dentist? 2:30.
Did your dentist give you that?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's a popsicle stick from one of my granddaughters. I always used to say that. What time does the Chinese guy go to the dentist? 2:30.
Okay, all right. Are we going to Hunter to close out?
Let's try.
Closed up.
All right, let's go, Hunter.
Imami.
All right, so I've got. I'm not going to let that one down, I don't think, but I've got 3 individual names for you real quick. One of which that most people probably haven't heard of that's had a pretty strong run. PWR, Quanta Services. They had a big breakout that started with a really big EPS beat on August 6th, but this is a company that provides specialty contracting and related services to the electrical, power, gas, and oil pipeline industry. So not one that you would think would be going on a monster run right now, but they have been.
This consolidation here.
3-month RS is around a 94, 95. Earnings expected in a few days, so just something to be mindful of. But they have really showed some strength, and I found this by diving into the data within the industry groups. and they are in the building heavy construction industry group, and really they're the one they're leading in this group. So
You've
I
got a
just
lot
started
of
taking a
build
look.
out. You've got a lot of build out. You got to rebuild a lot of power grids in California and other places where they've had all these fires. They've got
That's
a really,
true.
they got a huge backlog of jobs.
So anyways, it's just, now granted, this is kind of like some of the ones I've talked about last week, that they've had a big run. They're a little bit extended. They've started to pull back a tad, kind of holding right on the 8 EMA right now. But just an under the radar one that has really been really strong over the last, I guess, really about the last month and a half or two. They've had a nice run from around 40 to over 60. The next one, these are ones that are a little bit more on the cusp of breaking out, per se. TER, Teradyne.
Just reported.
So they have, and if you can make the time frame just a tad longer on that one, Tim, they formed, and I'm going to pull them up as well on my end. They're forming a little bit of a cup here, going back to highs around August 14th, and they're right around it right now, 92.16. So you can see, well, you guys can't see it, but they've been increasing on relative strength pretty significantly over about the last month and a half. And so it's just one to keep an eye on, look for a potential handle to form and then to go to new 52-week highs. They are one of those kind of like Qualcomm. Teradyne hit an all-time high in April of 2000 at about 115. So they've been forming a long base over the course of the last 20 years. Yeah, but they, just to give you some reference here, they have really strong growth, and they have over the last 4 quarters. Sales growth over the last 3 quarters has been right around 40 to 50%. Earnings growth has been anywhere from 50 to 100% over the last 3 quarters. So it's been one that's been increasing in relative strength, and one that you could keep an eye on to form a handle and potentially break out.
Okay.
Similarly, similar chart, Chegg, CHGG. And I've talked to Don a little bit about this. Chegg has a massive answer database. And so with students being online, and especially being remote, it most likely increases the propensity to cheat or use Chegg or Coursera or one of those kind of items. And so you have to have a membership to Chegg to be able to access these answers for homework or whatever it's for. And so you can see Chegg has had a nice run. They came down, and they've also formed a little bit of a cup, and I would look for them to start forming a handle. Cup goes back to about August 7th, and they ran up close to those highs of 89 over the last few days. But I would expect that trend to continue of students remotely learning via their computers using Chegg, whether it's for textbooks or for collaboration answers, things of that nature. So those are my 3 individual names that I like. And also Chegg has been increasing.
Earnings on Monday
Yes,
for
you got
Chegg. Keep an eye on
earnings
that.
coming up on Monday with Chegg. That's a good point, Don. And PWR earnings are supposed to be on 10/29. Teradyne doesn't have earnings for a long time. They just had them a few days ago.
Tell you what, I'm gonna.
So a couple. That's it on individual names. I got just a couple of brief comments on some industry group data that I was looking at over the course of this week. Some of which I've already mentioned. Energy solar had a big sell-off on 10/21, tried to bounce back, but that was just one of the main leaders in the market. You've kind of seen it take a little bit of a breather. Banks, oil and gas continue to perform well as some of the momentum and growth leaders cool off. Tim, do you have the capability to pull up 2 charts simultaneously and look at them overlapped?
No.
If not, it's
no.
okay. All right. So
yeah.
just for reference, KBE over the last month, 9/23 to today, 10/23. KBE is up 21.62% compared to SPY being up 6.54. So you've seen banks outperform over the last month, and whether that's money coming out of some of the big growth names into something safer, we don't really know, but it's something to keep an eye on. You've also seen oil and gas do pretty well over the last week and a half or two, as more of a safer defensive play. Lastly, an industry group called Agricultural Operations. Has been unbelievably strong. I mentioned one name last week. You can pull up DAR, Tim, Darling Ingredients, continuing to run. Yeah, so as I dove a little bit deeper into the data, there's really 4 names that have kind of led the way on this big move for the group that goes back to about end of September to first week of October. The other leader in this space is Grow Generation, GRWG. They had a big breakout around 813 on their earnings, and then they've been consolidating a little bit and building the right side of their chart since then. So just one to keep an eye on. They've been increasing in relative strength lately, not as high as they were on that massive spike up, but it's been creeping up. And then 2 other names that we're doing really well in here, not as well as these 2, Corteva, CTVA, and then BG, Bunge, I think is how you say that. But it's just, you look at that group and agriculture operations, who's thinking that's doing really well right now? But, there's four names in there that are, noticeably leading the rest of the way, particularly Darling Ingredients and Grow Generation. So that's my one industry group that really stuck out. And granted, you want to identify those moves, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago before they continue on that run. But it's just one of those that, they've continued to outperform over the last 2 weeks relative to the SPY. So that's all I got.
I just want to say
I'm done.
I'm really excited about the data Hunter and I are pulling together. Primarily he's pulling it together, but we're developing this system that's been in the back of my mind for years about improving on some of the flaws of the industry groups in Investors Business Daily. And it's when this all comes together, I'm extremely excited about it.
Also, I'll tell you what, it's a really good place to end the show unless you've got any saved rounds and alibis. I'm going to cover the stuff. I've got the Friday night video tonight. I'm going to cover all of the stocks that I wanted to cover at the end of the show. Don, you got any last anything on 21 over 21?
Yeah, it's going to undergoing there's going to be some changes this week. We've had several stocks break and not recover the 21. So I'll update it on Monday when I do the next video. You will see a handful, probably 5 to 6 changes.
There you go. Danny, take us home.
We'll talk to you next week on Your Money.